Hello, world. Welcome to Hacking Hollywood. Today, we have a very special guest on our show. We are talking to Jamison, an old friend of mine who's worked with me, worked with each other on different commercials, TV shows, and that kind of stuff. So, this series is all about learning about people in the industry and kind of rubbing off some of their experience onto us, so that we could all be active learners and participators in this wonderful life. So, Jamison, how you doing?
I'm good.
Jamison, tell me a little bit about your background. What got you inspired to work in the film industry?
Ooh, wow. All right. What did I do first? So I've always been an athlete, and in athletics, being an athlete, you were always kind of performing in front of people. So it was basketball, track, football in high school, and then when I went to college, I played football for 1 year after I ran track for 4 years. So it's always been like performing in front of people. And when you graduate college, you kind of go out into the world, get a real job, and you're not really performing for anyone anymore. So I decided that I had liked acting and I wanted to get into acting. So I was working in San Francisco and I decided to go to ACT, the American Conservatory Theater, and take their summer training congress. So I did that for 10 weeks. I fell in love with acting, lost my job, moved to Los Angeles, moved in with my brother. I was in LA for a while, and then I started working at Starbucks, and I met two guys that were also working there. They were great. One of them quit Starbucks to get a job working in a commercial casting agency. He thought I would like that, so he got me a job over there. I started working in commercial casting. I loved commercial casting. I was directing sessions. I was meeting a lot of people. It was fun, and I decided, well, maybe I'd like to do this. So I started auditioning and started booking. And I hadn't really done anything since the 6th grade when I was in the school musical. I played Oliver and Oliver Twist. So from 6th grade till way after college, I didn't do anything until I felt like, wow, this is something I want to do. So I started to audition. I started to book things. I started to teach. I've just enjoyed this whole process. It was never like, hey, when I grow up, I want to be an actor. It was kind of like, I have a job, I'm doing things, just kind of fell into my lap. I've had fun doing it, and it's taken me to some pretty cool places. Met some pretty cool people too, so yeah.
So it sounds like your journey to do acting and to get into Hollywood, it was almost, it was less inspirational and more as a kind of a learning, growing thing, would you say?
100%. I didn't choose to be in this world. I feel like just going through life and being available to things has kind of led me down this path. Because when you start acting, you think, oh, I'm just going to be an actor. I'm just going to be an actor. And then you're doing that and you're constantly waiting around for someone to, book you, hire you. So you're just the sit around guy. And I didn't like being the sit around guy. So I started writing, and then I would shoot some things, people would get interested, and then I got a job as a PA, and then you're meeting people through that, and it just kind of starts to send you down this road of, oh, I'm meeting really cool people. They want to do, they want to be camera people or sound people or writers or directors, and I want to be an actor. So like you throw your crew together. And once you've thrown your crew together, you just kind of start working, which is great. And, for a lot of times you're working for free because you just want to do it. There's something in it that's like grabbed you and said, hey, let's do this thing. It's fun. I enjoy playing characters. I enjoy writing. I enjoy, watching the DP work. I enjoy everything about it. And when you're in something that you enjoy doing, it's not work, it's fun, and you just keep doing it and meeting more and more people, and you start to slowly, gain more confidence in what you're doing, and you start meeting the right people, and then they call you and they interview you.
That's super cool. And now you've got that momentum going for you, and
100%.
one job turns into 3 jobs, and it just goes from there.
Yeah, each job is like, a crew of 50, a crew of 100, and everyone on that crew wants to be doing other things or has aspirations of being a director, being a writer, being a producer, and they want to do things outside of what they're getting paid for on that job. Like I have a buddy that's a sound guy. He loves it, but we're constantly talking about shows we're going to pitch and the people that we know and who we've pitched to and how it's going to go when we pitch. It's amazing how much energy is out there when you just look for it.
That's super cool. Yeah, you never know who has that next creative spark, and like somebody could inspire you to work on your own projects and vice versa. It's super fun. That's one thing that you kind of don't get unless you're in the business, is that collaborative kind of mindset. But I guess on the other side of that, there are some people, and I've been there too, where you get discouraged and you feel like nothing's moving and nothing's happening. Have you felt like that too? Has that been in your experience?
Oh man, discouragement is part of the game. Like, you, I don't know. It's most of the time you're discouraged. You almost get to a point where you're like, I'm gonna quit every single day. And then you wake up and you're like, I love doing this. I want to do this. Today may be the day I meet a guy. I mean, I had been having meetings and pitching to places and getting good responses, and it always seems like unless you know the right person, you're not going to get in through the door. Even though you have the greatest idea in the world, unless you know that one person, you're not going to get in. So, I've had many jobs. I was an Uber driver. I was driving on New Year's Eve. I picked this guy up, he and his wife, and he starts going, "Hey, I recognize you." I'm like, "All right, yeah." He goes, "Do you do commercials?" And I go, "Yeah, I used to do commercials." He goes, "Yeah, because when I used to come to audition, you'd beat me out on all those commercials." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but it's a fair playing field." And he's like, "What are you doing now?" I said, "I'm doing some writing. I'd been writing. I'd written a couple of pilots. I've written a couple of scripts." So we were just having a conversation, and I just said, "Yeah, I'm doing some writing." And he's like, "What have you been writing?" I said, "Oh, I'm writing some sitcoms." He goes, "Well, I work for Kevin Hart, so let's get together. Let's have a conversation." So I was like, "Yeah, okay, great." He gave me his information. I let it go, dropped him off, went home, forgot about it, because I'm always assuming that someone is talking above their pay grade. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I email him. He says, "Hey, let's get together. Let's have a talk." We go and talk. I pitch him like 7 things. He's like, "Wait a minute, let's just pick one. I'll take it in." I'm like, "All right, take it in." Takes it in. We start a development deal over Kevin Hart's production company. So it's like you never know who you're going to meet. You just have to be positively living your life and not really in it to, use people. Like if you're an honest person, people see that and they want to work with you, they want to know you, they want to be around you.
Super cool. That's awesome. I know that feeling when you meet somebody and they tell you about a project or something they're doing, and like you over time you start to kind of mellow out like your response to that, whether you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's the coolest thing I've heard," or like, "That's kind of dumb." Like that's never gonna happen, because you really just don't know what will take off and what will click.
Yeah, there's a fine line of like, because I never want to tell anyone your project's terrible. I get a lot of people that ask me to read their scripts. I get a lot of people that want me to take a look at their stuff, and I always do. I mean, if I was asking a celebrity to look at my stuff, I would want them to look at it. And I'm not a celebrity, but if someone's asking me to look at it, they're obviously thinking, this guy is someone I want to work with. And if someone wants to work with me, I want to work with them. And whether or not I love the script or hate the script, I don't make people feel like you're a failure. I will give them constructive criticism on what, and I've always tell them, this is my opinion. Here's some constructive criticism. And it's never like, "You're terrible, you're the worst writer ever." It's just like, maybe if you thought about this or have you thought about that, just to inspire them to think about things outside of their box that they're in. Because unless someone's challenging you to get outside the box you're in, you're going to stay in that box. And if you're constantly doing something that may be wrong and no one's telling you that it's wrong, you're going to keep doing it. And then when you get that opportunity to actually go in and pitch it to some big dog, if you're doing it the wrong way, you don't want that to be the first time that someone goes, "You're doing it the wrong way, you're terrible."
How do you keep yourself in check? Like when you get feedback, and you've probably developed this over time too, but the thought of like, "I've gotten this feedback. Um, how do I respond to that? Like, am I hurt by that? Like that might be a natural reaction, or like, how do you take that and make it into constructive criticism, and actually accept that,
Right. Feedback is always tough because everyone has an opinion. And if you're not strong enough to believe in what you're doing, then you will get swayed every which way the wind blows. I mean, I used to, every note I got, I would change it for that note. Like, "Oh, this person's giving me a note, let me change it for them. I'm trying to make them happy. Oh, let me change it for them. I'm trying to make them happy." At a point, you just have to be happy with what you're doing. And you go, well, if it's not right for you, there's got to be someone out there that it's right for. So I'm not going to have to spend all my time rewriting. I've rewritten everything 1,000 times, and then I was just like, nope, I can't rewrite anymore. I mean, that's what happened when I had my development deal. I had a showrunner. We didn't see eye to eye. I had another showrunner. We didn't see eye to eye. I had a third showrunner, and it was just one of those things where it was changing so much from what my original idea was that it just felt like it was never going to happen. So it didn't happen.
Just you were mentioning a project that got through where you actually had a showrunner and you're planning stuff out. So that moved along pretty far in the journey, right? And there are probably other projects, some that were successful like that got pushed through, that got made it, that worked its way through. And there were probably other projects that somehow died off along the way. So I guess the question was, can you take us through one or two of those projects and how they developed?
Yes.
I guess some you might not be able to mention because they're still in development.
Something I'm developing right now, and I usually will just tell people, I don't care. I'm working on a project called Self-Storage. It's about a bunch of people that live in their self-storage units illegally, but they're there, and it's a community of people that live there. So I probably wrote that 15 years ago. My wife's constantly telling me, you're always ahead. You're 10 years ahead of the curve, 10 years ahead of the curve. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I wrote it. It started to get a little bit of heat. It'll get a little heat from someone, and then they don't have the juice to take it to the next level, and it'll die on the vine. So then you move on to the next one. You know, you're constantly working on projects. I probably have 45 projects I'm working on right now. The ones that get a little bit of juice are the ones you kind of focus on. So that one had a little bit of juice. It got to a development deal, and then it died on the vine because we weren't seeing eye to eye. And then it got moved over to another production company. They were really into it, and then COVID hit, and they shut it down because we were all shut down. So in a few months, we will go back and we will revisit. I've had projects that people say, oh, I'd love to read it. They read it, or they say they're going to read it, and then you have a meeting, and they can't answer any of your questions about it, like they've never even read it. So it's like, were they just, gassing you up, saying, hey, I've got this kind of juice, let's do your thing. That never works for me. It's always very frustrating to be dealing with those types of people. Most of the stuff that I've had produced, I've done on my own, and I produced a web series called 911 Can I Shoot 'Em? So it's a comedy, and it's based on I was doing background on a television show, and a buddy of mine were just kind of talking about it, and I'm like, oh, let's write a short film. We did it. It's like 4 minutes. It's spun off into 3 or 4 2-minute little spin-offs. And it's a simple thing. You're just talking to people. Hey, it'd be a great idea if two guys were watching these really ridiculous situations. Like you're in a Starbucks and you've been in the line for a long time, and the person in the front of the line's, is that a large? What's a large? Can I get it hot or cold? And you're just like, dude, can I shoot him? And that's the whole premise of the thing. It's a 2-minute thing. No one's going to shoot anyone. No one's going to get killed. But it's just that situation where you say, this guy is annoying. This girl is annoying. Can we get this done? So that was one thing that you're like, I really want to do this, so I'm going to do it myself. So we shot him. I've learned that waiting for other people to shoot your stuff is a long, long wait. You're going to be waiting forever. So you have a friend with a camera, you have an idea, go shoot it. It's not going to look the greatest in the world probably the first time, but you're going to learn from it. And those are how my things get produced. My latest thing, I was at work talking to the first AD, pitched her an idea. She was like, I like that. I have a friend that has a production company. I know someone that works at Discovery Channel. Let me talk to them. That email goes out. That email comes back. Hey, do you want to have a meeting? We can have a Zoom meeting on Friday. I have a Zoom meeting on Friday. So it's just like putting it out there honestly and not thinking that, oh, I'm so great. I'm a writer and I've got all these projects that are the best in the world. No. What are there? 7 stories that I've been told? And you can put your spin on one of the 7 stories. And if someone likes it, they're going to tell a friend. And then they'll tell a friend, and so on until you get to the person that says, here's $1 million. I love your idea. Go shoot it. Let's get in business together. That's kind of where I live.
That's fun. That's super cool how it all can develop and evolve like that. Can you take me back to maybe like the first project that you got to work on in Hollywood?
Ooh, I was a PA. My first project, I was a PA. I was nothing. I was working in casting. A friend of mine couldn't work on a job. He called me and said, "Hey, do you want to work on this commercial? You'd be a pass van driver." And I said, "Yes." And then I hung up, and I did not know what a pass van driver was. I was like, "What's a pass van driver? What does a pass van driver do?" So I show up, I meet the production coordinator. She's like, "All right, so you're going to be the pass van driver." And I go, "Okay." She throws me some keys. She goes, "It's that passenger van over there." And I'm like, "Oh, a pass van. Okay, I can do that." And then I drove the van, and I picked people up, and I took people from point A to point B, and I was in the production office, and I was making copies of the pre-pro book and taking them to the photocopy place to get them made and brought back, and going to the bank to get petty cash, and just doing everything that I had no idea what it was until someone told me, "You're going to go do this." So my introduction, I just said yes, like not knowing what it was going to be. And through that, it just kind of grew. Like you do production work. You're a PA, which is the lowest of the low on the set. But I loved it because I knew what I had to do. Keep the trash cans, keep the bags in the trash cans, make sure everyone's happy, set up lunch, do all this kind of stuff. And then I would sit close enough to the set to see every single person and what they were doing. I'd watch the camera guys, I'd watch the G&E guys, I'd watch the lighting guys, I'd watch the grips, I'd watch everyone, I'd watch the talent, I'd watch everyone. And when I could feel like the director or anyone was gonna need something, I would kind of perk up and be ready, and I would hear it, and I'd always be ready to go attack it and get it done. And then people started going, "Oh, it's you." They'd start to remember your name. "Oh, Jamison." Okay. So then people would know your name. They wouldn't know who else to call out to, so they would call out, "Hey, Jamison, we need..." Now everyone knows your name. And people like him, "Hey." But everyone knows your name. Once they know your name, you're getting called out, and people are like, "Why are they calling that person?" And then it became a thing where, oh, if he's talking to him, he must be a person of some stature. So he must have respect on the set. And then it's like, no, I don't. I just do my job, and they remember that, and people like working with people that do their jobs. So that was years ago. And now I moved out of the art department. I'm out of production into the art department. I've done some directing, I've done some writing, and I'm still working, and I'll be working on set, and I'll see PAs sitting down on their phones. And I get angry for like a split second, but that's what they do now. Like, they think they're gonna move up by doing nothing. And I just look at them like, wow, you need to get a work ethic. You need to let people know that you're here to work and not just here to collect that paycheck and do nothing. Because if you're truly trying to move up in this industry, you have to hustle. There is no standing around. No one's gonna come and knock on your door because they think you're a great person. You have to prove to people that you're here to get it done. And if you're not doing that, then people will forget you because they can get rid of you quickly and get someone else to do that job.
Absolutely, it's crazy how that works and comes together. I also thought like during when you were talking about this, when you're on set being a PA, it's almost like following orders, being a soldier, so to speak, right? You're in the focus. You're not really problem solving or being creative in a way for yourself. You're just kind of doing what you need to do to push the ball forward, right? And then you get to have those breakout moments where you talk to an audio guy or you talk to another person, and then you get to kind of creatively vibe with that person. Because there's those undertones there that people have and they're passionate about. And you kind of have to have that. So my question, I guess, is how do you balance between the two sides of being professional, doing your job, but then also being able to talk about creative stuff?
To be able to bounce between talking about creative and doing your job, it is a fine line. That fine line gets blurred when you've established yourself as someone that's there to do their job. And when they see you doing their job, conversations will come up about things outside of work. And then it becomes like we're a family. because people want to work with people that are nice. You're going to be with them 12 hours, 14 hours a day. They don't want a standoffish person. They want someone that they can talk about their family with, talk about their relationship with, talk about anything other than what they're doing there. Because a lot of people just need to vent. And if you're there, you've done your job, you're hanging out, they can vent to you, it opens the door to real conversations. You don't just jump in like, hey, I'm a writer. You have a conversation. You become friends with a person. You find out what their interests are. You remember something about them, so you can say, how's your wife? How's your kid? How's your, how was sailing on the boat this weekend? Whatever it may be. Then you've created a real relationship. You're not trying to use that person. You're trying to be friends with that person. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The ones it doesn't work with, you probably really don't want to be friends with them anyway. And if they're in an ego place where they're like, oh, I can't talk to you because you're a PA, or oh, you're art department, then I don't want to hang out with those people. What's the point? I have enough people in my life like that are like, I'm an actor and I won't work for free. And I'm like, then you're not going to work, bro. Because there's a million actors out there and they've all done one-liners on television shows that are trying to get commercials now, and they've had, relatively good amount of success. So, just be a nice guy. Do the work.
I think there's kind of a divide, and I don't know exactly how this splits up, but there are people with, I guess, a different school of thought. They're kind of about themselves, or they get burnt out, or I don't know exactly how, but somehow along the way they get frustrated and their attitude changes. And then there's the other side of things, and I think that's why we got along so well, is because I feel like we clicked in that sense of having a good attitude, working hard, getting the job done, being attentive, but then also being personable and having good conversations. So how would you encourage somebody to stay on the latter side of that and not get discouraged or jaded?
This is how you stay on the latter side of that. You're never gonna make it. You're never gonna make it. So if you do make it, that's awesome. Do your job. I do my job. I'm not telling you you're never going to make it. I'm telling you have to have the attitude that, you know what? This is today's job. I'm going to do that job. This is what's paying my bills. When this job is over, I'm going to do what I want to do. That's what I've done for years and years and years. I used to work in commercial casting, and I would miss a ton of auditions because I was working that day. But to me, that was my job. It came first. The ones that I'm gonna get are gonna come along. They're gonna fit into your schedule. So you just need to stay light, happy, even on your worst day. Even if you come to work with a bad attitude, that's your bad attitude. No one wants to hang around you with a bad attitude. Just turn it around. You can always turn it around. You just put a smile on your face, go listen to some music you like, whatever it takes to get you ready to go that day. I've been on sets when I've been dumped by my girlfriend last night, or had a car accident, or any number of things, but those people don't care about that. That's yours. You have to learn how to deal with it, compartmentalize it, put it in that pocket for the day, do your job, be happy, talk to people. That'll get you out of that funky mood, and then everything will be all right. It's like, just don't wallow in that. No one wants to work with that person. There are big time actors that people will not work with because they've treated people poorly. And you've seen them. They used to be in every movie. Now you don't see them so much anymore. Now they're on cable. Now they're doing really bad movies because they have to pay the bills, and that's how they're going to pay the bills, because someone who's coming up in the business is like, oh, I can get that person because they can't work with these people anymore, then I'll use them. You just be a nice person. Like, it's not that difficult. And then when you become successful, and you will, remember what it was like when you weren't. Just remember the terrible days you picked the garbage up out of the trash can and you had to move that. When I was a PA, we would shoot a lot in downtown Los Angeles in the alleys, car commercials and stuff. There's human excrement in the alley that you'd have to go, can you guys go clean the alley up? And you'd be like, yeah. You go do it. You complain about it elsewhere, but you do your job. And that doesn't happen all the time. That's going to be your worst possible day. And you have to realize, unless someone is like physically hurting you, they can kind of say whatever they want to you as long as you know it's not true and it's not going to bother you. So keep your head up and keep moving forward. Stay positive.
Can you talk to me a little bit, because you worked in casting, you're an actor who also books, right? And you get gigs and you go into auditions. Can you take me through that process for someone who's maybe never done that before? They're thinking about moving to LA and wanting to get in the business like that.
Yeah. For you actors that want to come to LA, I always say, wait until LA calls you. But if you get called, if you get your own call to go there, be prepared to get a real job, because you're not going to come here, get off the bus, and become successful overnight. It's not going to happen. You do decide to come here, awesome. Come here, meet people, get a job, have a place to live, feel comfortable, because there's nothing worse than a person coming to an audition that is miserable because I really need this job so I can pay my rent this month. You're not going to get the job. Come here, have a good attitude, hang out at coffee shops, meet people, get your headshots. Your headshots do not need to cost you $500, $400, $300, $200, $100. You need to find a photographer who can take a picture of you like this that looks like you, and that's it. The headshot that I used was taken by a buddy of mine that owned a photography studio, and we were just messing around. He shot them. They looked good. I used them. Those are the ones I use. You get your headshots. You will start submitting to agents. That usually doesn't happen because all the times that I've gotten an agent is through a recommendation. So you're going to come out here, you're going to meet a bunch of actors, you're going to talk to them about, hey, who are you with? Who's your agent? Oh, I'm with whatever. Me, I'm with DPN Talent. I'm with DPN. Oh, great, And if the person likes you and you don't look exactly like the person, you could ask them, hey, could you make a recommendation? And usually they'll go, yeah. I mean, I recommend people all the time. I don't want you all to start calling me because I don't know you all, but I recommend, like my friend, if someone I meet and I like, and they want to be an actor, and it doesn't come up like, hey, I'm an actor, can you recommend me? If we're talking, I'll usually go, hey, I can make a recommendation, I can send your headshots over, maybe they'll get seen, maybe they'll take a meeting, but that's what I can do. And that's how most people get an agent. So now that you have an agent, that agent's going to start submitting you. Submitted, and then you're going to get an audition. And you're going to be very excited. It's going to be a big audition. You're going to go down there. You're going to sign in. Oh, no, this is before we couldn't go to audition. This is, I don't know where I am now. You're probably going to have to do a self-tape audition. So you're going to have to either, and you can't even find someone to do it. You're going to have to do it yourself. So you're going to put yourself on tape. And the thing that I've realized is that in the commercial world, they don't know what they want until they see it. So you trying to make an assumption of what they think the character is going to be is futile because you don't know. So I always say, be yourself. Be who you are in that situation that they want you to be in. Not everyone's going to laugh at the same thing. Not everyone's going to cry at the same thing. But if you think that this is what I'm supposed to do and everyone else is thinking that this is what I'm supposed to do, all your auditions are going to look the same. So if you go in being yourself, and I know it's very difficult to know who you are because you're an actor and you can play everybody. It's true. It's not. It's not true. You can't play everything. You can play yourself. Be yourself. If you think people are doing a lot of acting, look at the people that you really love as actors and see what they play.
So you're talking about playing yourself instead of playing like into a character, into a role, or like a preconceived idea.
Yeah. Because when you're playing yourself, you know who you are. You have an audition. You do yourself. I'm just going to talk about when you can go into audition in a room, which is what we're hopefully all going to be doing. So you're in a room. You go in being you. You act the way you would act in that situation. And then you walk out of the audition and you completely forget about it. just done. It's done. That's over. You have something way better to do after that audition, so you're not thinking about it all day. You get a call back. Now, most people are going to go, what did I wear? What did I do on that day? Don't wear the same thing because you have a bunch of different clothes. Just whatever you're wearing for that audition, wear that. Things are going to probably have changed a little bit. So be able to go in and give a performance of you with whatever they've changed. If you go in trying to do the exact same thing you did last time, people will look at you and be like, is that all this person can do? You're going to be on set for probably 8 to 10 hours. You may have a line in the commercial. You may be giving a look. They do not want to see the same look. They do not want to hear the same line reading every single time you do it. That doesn't give them a variety of things to look through, a variety of things to cut to. You're just like a robot. They don't want that.
I heard this really great thing from Steve Carell. And at this point, I don't remember if it was directly from him or if it was from somebody else because I worked with him on 2 different occasions. But he was working and shooting a show, and they were on the 6th take, 7th take, 8th take. And he had it in his mind that each take he was needing to do something different. So he was kind of like deep in thought. And somebody asked him, like, is everything good? Are you fine? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm just trying to think through what else I can give you, like what else I can create and do differently to, possibly add something else for the editors to cut through. And so
Yeah.
the seasoned professional actor was like still thinking in that mindset.
Yes. Because you're not a robot. Like, you do something and it sends a ripple that may change everything. The scene in I don't even remember the movie. Come on, it's Kevin Costner. He's a naval officer. I can't even think of what it's called. But he has a scene, he's in the back of a limousine with a woman, and he's improvising by talking to the driver of the limo. So they have to add a driver now. Like, it made the scene so much better because he was in his mind, like, in that situation, what would he do? He would talk to the driver. Oh, can you put the window up? Or, oh, whatever. Or, oh, it's too... But it created a character, And when you're working with people that want that input, they love it. I mean, you're going to get the dialogue for the commercial copy, and you're going to do it. There's going to be times where you're going to change it, and it's going to stay changed because the writer's going to go, oh, wow, I never thought of that. That's really good. I'm not saying going to auditions and change everything. I'm saying going to audition, being you, feeling like you, saying it the way you would say it. If they go, hey, I really need it word for word, you give it to them word for word. You have to be able to adjust and adapt to what the director's asking you. I've been on commercials where I'm shooting it and they say, can you say that like a half a second faster? Because it has to fit in the thing. And I go, yeah. And you think about what a half a second faster is and you do it. Or can you drag that out a little bit? Yeah. Can you do it as you're hopping around on one leg? Do you really need me hopping around on one leg? Because I will be, my voice is going to shake, but if that's how you want it, I can do that, As long as it's not a ridiculous request, do it.
Doing the best you can to serve the piece. Yeah.
You know what your job is on set? Your job is to not have us waiting. I don't want to be waiting on talent. Get in, do your job, go home. Because everyone else has been there way before you got there. They're going to be there way after you leave. They're already looking at you like you're some prima donna who got cast because they know this person or whatever. So just go in, be cool, say hey to people, treat people with respect, like you want them to treat you, and it's a great day. And when the DP likes you, he'll be, he or she will be going, just scoot this way a little bit. They're trying to make you look the best that you can. Everyone wants to make everything work smoothly. And if they can get their day done in less than 12, they are happy.
That's super cool. You talked about this a little bit in the beginning. So I think you said you went to college, but it wasn't a traditional college, right? It was like...
No, I went to Cal State Hayward up in San Francisco Bay Area, Hayward, California. They changed their name to Cal State East Bay. I'm not happy about that because I went to Cal State Hayward, not Cal State East Bay. But I went there for, your formal training. I ran track. I played 1 year of football. I was studying, what was I studying? Marketing. 4 years of marketing. I didn't like accounting. I didn't like marketing. I didn't like any of those classes. At the end of my 4 years, I was like, I'm ready to get out. And they were like, no, you're not. Your grades are terrible. I was like, oh, okay. I went in to get a new set of classes. I met the head of the broadcast journalism department, Mass Comm, and he talked me into becoming like the anchor on their news channel. I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. So I did that. I fell in love with it. 2 years later, I was done. And then I was working in a mortgage banking company.
Wow.
So yeah, it was, college was awesome. I enjoyed it. I did do the musical Guys and Dolls while I was in college, but that was like late in it when I started to kind of get the bug of acting. But nah, that wasn't my thing. I wasn't there to study that. And I feel like, I'll tell you why I didn't like actors. Because all the actors had read all the Shakespeare, and they could tell you everything about Shakespeare. And they were better than everyone else. And I never felt like that was me. I never felt like, ooh, I want to hang out with those people because I just don't like them. I remained myself. I did what I wanted to do, and people were drawn to that because it was different. So that was my college experience. It was fun. I loved college.
When did you start taking like acting classes, and when did you start treating acting as a profession, like as something you're serious about?
Never. I've never treated acting like something I've. No, I did the summer training congress at ACT, and then got laid off from a real job, moved to Los Angeles, work. I took an acting class with a friend, which I really enjoyed, but it wasn't like your traditional Meisner technique or whatever the different techniques people are using. It was just this like scene study, and I kind of learned about myself. I did that for a while, maybe a couple months, and then I was like, okay, that's great. And then I was like, why am I paying money to do this when I don't have the money? So I just kind of stopped doing it. The best class I've ever had was when I was working in commercial casting. I was in the room, I was directing sessions, I was telling people what they should be doing, I was running the camera, I was doing all of that. I was watching people work, observing people. So in my observation of people, you can tell really quickly who gets it, who doesn't get it, who's acting, who's not acting, who's real, who's not real. And that was my education. I got educated watching other people. And I've always loved watching people on the streets. I've always created stories for people on the street, where that person's going, why they're wearing that, all that kind of stuff. I've always done that. And I think that's part of being an actor. One of the classes, one of my favorite classes at ACT was, it was an acting class, and they'd say, all right, today, go outside. There were like 20 of us in our group. You guys all go outside, and when you come back, you got to tell me about 3 people. We're like, oh, who? What 3? Just, you're going to tell me about 3 people. So you go down on the streets of San Francisco, you stand on Market Street, and you look at 3 people. And in the 20 minutes you come back, and you tell them about your 3 people, and they say, well, why did you pick those 3 people? And then you start thinking, oh, because something about them caught my eye, or something that they did. And it made you really look at people. You figured it out, you came back, there was something about them that you loved, or liked, or hated, but that was you making your observation. Teachers could have said, go out and find a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead, and then you're going down a path. They let you go down your own path to see what it is that attracted you, what it is that you thought was interesting, and why you thought it was interesting. And I kind of feel like that's an actor's job, is to be interesting to people. People want to watch you. They want to sit there and look at you and go, oh, there's something about that person that's different, but I still want to sit here and watch it.
It's really interesting how like you can peel back something that's mundane of like going somewhere and just like sitting down for a minute and watching. Like you can make that interesting or find interesting things out of that experience. And it's just really fun how in life you could zoom in on that certain moment or person and just amplify that with just a few like pauses. Because sometimes in life we just get wrapped up with everything else happening that we don't get to enjoy that moment. So something completely different than what we're talking about. What do you think is something that you wish you would have known or learned before getting in the business?
I wish before I got into the business, I had learned that it's just a curtain. And once you're inside the curtain, it's a different world. Like we hold this thing of, oh, once I get on the lot, like it's going to be magical. It's not magical. It's a job. People are doing their jobs. I wish I didn't have this preconceived notion that everyone that's in this industry is better than me because they're in. No, they're in because they have a relative or they have a friend or someone hooked them up or they were really talented and they made their own way. They created their own path to get in. People live in fear of Hollywood. That's why they're afraid to take the leap. That's why they're afraid to, oh, I'll never be good enough. Even with me, even today, every time I finish writing something, I'm always like, ugh, is it going to be any good? Do I want to let anyone read it? When I know it's good, because I spent time working on it. And for me, it's good. But it's just that fear of being rejected. I wish I didn't have this fear starting off of being rejected. If I would have just been myself, gone in, yes, this is what it's going to be. And it turns out that that's what it is. It's just that. Like, it's your own fear holding you back. And if I would have known that when I was really small, who knows? Who knows where I'd be now? But but in saying that, I am happy with where I am. Like, because it is the journey. My wife's constantly telling you, it's the journey, it's the journey. And I go, no, it's not the journey. I want to be there and I want to have a show and I want to. She's like, it's the journey. It's coming. You're going to have it. Look at all the things you've done. In your own mind, you're thinking you haven't made it. Look at all the people that look at you. Look at the people that look at what you've done and go, oh my God, Jamison he's done over 100 commercials. That guy's amazing. He's great. And I'm looking at, well, look what Denzel Washington's done. It's just be where you are, be happy with who you are, and know you're on the right path.
I love that. That comparison can destroy you, where it's like it's not about the person next to you, the other lane. It's kind of about how you've grown and how you've developed. So, when looking back at your experience in 15 plus years in the business,
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
more than that maybe.
So. 95, yeah, long, 95, 25-ish years.
Okay, yeah. So looking back at the 25 years of being in the business, are there some milestones or some things that you can say, I recognize this was, a completion of a chapter, or this is how I've grown,
Yeah, there's been a couple times where you're in it and you think, oh, yeah, I'm moving past it. When I told myself, and this was recently, I've told myself, I'm not going to do production work anymore. I'm not going to be a PA anymore. Because I would work, and then if I didn't have work, I would take a job as a PA. I took a job going, I don't really want to do it, but I got to pay the bills. But I'm going to go be happy. And I was happy, and I felt abused. And that's when I was like, nope, that's it. I'm done. I don't need that. I value myself. I have plenty of things going on. I do not need that. So that was like a big, moment for me. There have been moments where I've been working in a certain field, meeting other people in like the art department, and just being myself, helping out. I'm bored. Can I help you? Yeah, come on, help us do this. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, you're with us now. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in the art department now. As soon as this job's over and they've let me go, we're going to hire you. Sweet. Then you move to that level where you're in a whole different group, where you're doing less work for more money, but you're still doing really important work, and it's great. And you like the people you work with. Because for me, I have to like the people that I work with. These people are like family. Like, I love them like family. And if you don't have that, for me, I can still do the work, but it makes the work so much better. When I know, I'm going to go see Paris, or I'm going to go see Ramon, or I'm going to go see, Paul. It's awesome. Carly, anyone. It's amazing because you know you're going to see them. And it's about that relationship as opposed to the work you're doing. Because you're going to be able to do the work with the relationship.
The day goes faster and you can click with somebody. And
it's amazing. You show up when you're happy to see someone. You show up. You don't even realize you're working. You don't realize the day's over, and you're like, "Oh, I'll see you tomorrow." It's like, it's just great. It's great on any level, from the DP to the director to the PA to the art person to anyone. If that's the way you go to work and you have fun, it goes by so quickly. You can have great jobs where you go there and you don't do anything and you sit there by yourself because you can't be on set or you have to be in your area, and that day drags and drags and drags and drags and drags. So I love having fun when I'm on set.
What do you think's been your favorite project you ever worked on?
Wow, my favorite project. Well, when I was little, one of my favorite projects was when I was probably 8. I was an extra in the movie King Kong with Jessica Lange. And that was our first time doing it, so it was weird. But it was kind of cool. I don't know. I don't know why that just popped into my head. Let me see. A project that I really loved. I think shooting my own first short film was a project that I really loved because it was a completion of something that I wanted to do, something that I gathered people together, something that was well received, something that I didn't spend a lot of money on, something that I won an award for, all those kind of things. As far as big productions, I like it when I've done a lot of commercials, and I like it when you're on set and you do something and someone laughs that shouldn't laugh, and you go, oh, cool. Like at that moment, that's been a great day. Whether they use that take or not, whether they, make you do it 5 more times, it doesn't matter, because for me, that's a win. That's an exciting little moment. That's like, yeah, someone gets it. I've worked on features, usually in the art department. I'm always happy. Oh, the thing I'm working on right now, I'm working on a thing for Beachbody. They needed someone to draw like a schedule on the wall, and I started panicking. Oh, am I gonna be able to do this in chalk? And I did it, and I liked it, and everyone enjoyed seeing it. There was a picture taken of it with the person doing the workout, so I was like, oh, nice, milestones. I've done something, and it's not even like just for me. It's like, oh, it's a win. That's fun. No one else cares, but it's fun. It's hard to pick out like these moments because I'm constantly in the moment and I'm just moving through that moment, and then I don't realize it's a moment until later, and then I'm kind of like, oh, well, that moment's passed. I'm the guy that shoots a film, like my web series, 911, can I shoot them? I shot a bunch, but they're done. Like, if someone wants to take them and do something with them, great. For me, once I shoot it, it's kind of like I've gotten it out of my brain pan. It's done. That was a moment in time. I'm already moving on to other things. So it's kind of hard to just pick those moments that are like, wow. Moments like that are meeting the guy in the back of my car, driving, and him taking me to the next level. Working as a PA, meeting the head of the art department, being brought to the next level. Yeah. But my favorite story is we were shooting overnights in the art department, and it was my birthday, and I'm working overnights on my birthday. I don't care. But we go to lunch at midnight, and I get my food, and then I come back to my table, and it's all like decorated for a birthday party. And I'm like, huh? And they're like, happy birthday. And I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. And then they sing happy. It's just those little moments where you go, wow, I'm appreciated, which is probably, sometimes it's hard to take the appreciation because I always kind of deflect it like, oh, I'm just, but when it happens, it's like, oh, that's nice. As I get all teary-eyed.
That's fun. It's fun to be connected to people like that.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until it happens. Like, oh wow, like they actually care.
Yeah.
That I'm there, and they're thinking ahead and thinking about me. That's really cool. That's really insightful. Awesome. Tell me a couple projects that are bragging right kind of projects. Stuff you get to tell people.
Oh yeah, I hate doing this, but I will.
I know that
I
feeling.
always like, oh, just I don't know. Um, so I sit my email when I send out an email, I have like my reel on there, and no one ever looks at that stuff. But every once in a while, someone will look at it and they'll go, "Wow, you've done a bunch of commercials." So like, I've done a couple of Super Bowl commercials. One, my favorite one was a Bud Light spot with Cedric the Entertainer that I did years and years and years ago, and it was awesome. And people still remember it. Like they see it and they go, "Oh, that was a great spot." I've had a bunch of commercials like that where people go, "Oh, that was a great spot." Um, I've worked with, I don't know, like I don't know. I'm always like that guy that's like, oh, I hate talking about myself. So yeah, Cedric the Entertainer commercial was amazing. 2 or 3 Super Bowl spots. I remember doing a Super Bowl spot for Bud Light, another Bud Light Super Bowl spot, where we were on a rooftop, and it was a great spot. We're drinking beers up on the. We never drank on the roof. I was barbecuing. My buddy was just hanging out, and then this other guy comes out to actually fix the roof, but he falls through the roof, and people complained about that spot. Like people watched it, like you can't have people on the roof drinking beers and blah blah blah. So that spot got pulled after like 2 days. And I was like, what? But I think it was in the paper for like Super Bowl spots, and the Cedric the Entertainer spot was in like highlights of the Super Bowl. So like those little things like that show up in the paper, or you know, the things that I love that like my bragging rights are I never tell anyone when I've booked a commercial. I never tell anyone when I have a callback. I never tell people when I have commercials and stuff like that, because you never know when you're going to cut out of it. And there've been plenty of times where I've said, "Oh yeah, I have a callback for whatever, Domino's," and you don't book it, but people are like, "Oh, how'd the callback go? How'd the callback?" Then you have to like, "Oh, well, I didn't get it." So I'd rather not tell anyone and wait for someone to go, "Hey, did I see you in that commercial?" And I go, "Oh yeah, yeah. Where'd you see it? When did you see it?" Because I don't want it to be about me. I always want it to be about that person, so I'm constantly deflecting, which is something I probably shouldn't do, but it's what I do. So I'm always in the deflection mode of, let's not have this conversation about me. How are you doing? Like, have you booked any? I always am that guy. Um, but yeah, it's nice. When people have seen it, I know it's out there. That's one good one. Two, it's gonna start paying. That's awesome. And three, I can then tell my parents, oh, that commercial that I shot is running. Someone saw it. Oh, how can I see it? I get pleasure out of people getting pleasure out of knowing that I've been trying to do something and I've got it, and they can brag about it to their friends.
Oh, my buddy was on this commercial. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the friends from my church. They're always like, "Oh, you know that show? I'm gonna butcher it now, but oh, you know that next Marvel movie? Well, he didn't work on that, but he worked on The Mandalorian. Like that kind of stuff. Of like,
Yeah, I mean, I was at a place where they do photography, and this guy came in, and he had worked on The Mandalorian, and he was the guy that made the baby carriage for the young Yoda, and he's made all the weapons, and he can tear all that stuff apart. And I thought it was cool. Like, dude, that's awesome. And my other buddies were like really excited about it because they love that show. So it's all about making that person feel good about what they've done. If I can do that, that's a win. I don't go, oh yeah, by the way, did you see the spot I was in? It's like, yeah, people are gonna forget about you. So don't put yourself on this high pedestal because they're gonna knock you down. So just be gracious, be interested in other people. People will love talking about themselves, and they will love you for that, and you'll build a relationship.
what do you think's been the project that you learned the most from?
I think I probably learned the most from my PA days, just being on set, um, learning what this person does and what that person does. I was working on I don't remember what the spot was, but our script supervisor had been the script supervisor on Saving Private Ryan. I was very interested in hearing her stories. Just I learned so much about what a script supervisor does. You know, how she, when they were shooting the scene where they were coming up on the beach and all the bodies were in the water and they were all fake. She had I think her son was with her, and she had to explain to her son that that's not real. We're shooting a movie, all that kind of stuff. Just hearing these stories from people, just you learn so much. Like, I don't want to be a script supervisor, but if I see someone doing their job and they're not crazy busy right there, and I ask them, so do you love being a script supervisor? They'll tell you all kinds of stories about it. Do you love being a DP? I love being a DP. I might not know what the lenses you're talking about, or the camera you're talking about, or the Sony 15. I might not know any of that. But if you know it and you want to tell me about it, I'm going to learn a little bit something about that. I just asked the question because I'm no DP. I don't want to set the lights up. I don't know what the lenses do. Depth of it's not my thing. But I know composition, and I know what I want to see on camera. So I was asking the DPs that I'm working with on this Beachbody thing. I said, so are there any camera operators that don't know about the lenses? And they're like, yeah, there's plenty. He said, that's why I'm here. I'm the AC. I'm the first AC. I will get everything set up. If you want to operate, you get to operate. It's not your job to know all that stuff. So then that just like knocked down a wall for me, because I thought, I'd never be able to be a DP because I don't know the lenses, and I'm going to feel stupid because I don't know, and they're going to talk this language, and I'm going to be the outsider that doesn't really know the language. No. If you want to do something, you ask questions about whether or not you think you can do it, or you just do it. You say, hey, I'm a DP. I don't really know everything about that. And then someone goes, oh, well, I don't want to operate. I just want to do the technical side. I just want to set up the lenses. I want to, give you your frame rate. I want to fix the light balance and the color temperatures and all that kind of stuff, which I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I've heard them say it. So you want to do all that stuff? Awesome. Prime example. I bought a camera, a still camera, to shoot. I wanted to start shooting short films. I didn't want to read the manual. I don't know anything about this camera. A buddy of mine was like, oh, you bought one of those? Let me look at it. Okay. He's the guy that wants to learn everything about the camera. So now he shoots for me. It's like you just put it out there and it'll come to you. Like minds find each other. You cannot find it sitting in your house by yourself saying, I'm the best writer in the world, or I'm the best actor. Why don't they ever cast me? Because no one knows you. You're sitting in your room. Get outside, be with people. Everyone you meet in Los Angeles is an actor, a writer, a producer, got something in development. And if you're not in Los Angeles, there's plenty of people around you, I'm sure, that want to be part of Los Angeles, part of Hollywood, like you. Find those like-minded people. Do projects, do shorts, shoot scenes, do things that you can put on the web that people will see, and eventually the call will come. Hey, you're great. Come to this film festival. Hey, you're great. Come to Hollywood. And if not, you're having fun doing it, and when you feel like you've outgrown the place you're in, you can make the journey.
That's awesome. One of the things I try to do with Hacking Hollywood is basically leverage my experience and my friends' experience to better productions, to better, small budget filmmaking. So do you have any advice or any thoughts about how to leverage some of the things you've seen to apply to smaller projects?
Oh, yeah. So most projects, I'm going to say everything that's not a Hollywood project is a small project, even if it's like $1 million. And I have DP friends. I've got plenty of people that I can only work on $50 million projects. I don't know anyone in the lower project world, So you just kind of have to find your home. The way I leverage is by becoming friends with people, telling them about something I want to do. If they're interested in it, they'll want to be a part of it. They might not want you to pay them money. If you're honest with people, hey, I have $1,000, but I have this great idea and I'd like to shoot it. Can you help me out? Oh yeah, I'll do it for free. If it's just a day, I can do that for free. Oh wow. Because they're working. They have jobs where they're making good money, so they have a couple of days off. And if you can fit your schedule around their schedule, you can get them to come and work. And if they like the project, let's just say this first AC wants to be an operator. He's operated a bunch of times, but he's only a first AC because he doesn't have a big enough reel. If he likes your project, he can be the DP on your project. He can shoot it. That becomes a part of his reel. Then that he can show to the next level, and they go, "Oh, you shot that? Great. Now I trust you to shoot my bigger project." So you always just have to think of, I want to do this thing. How can I get it done? Who do I know? I have a friend that's a sound guy, not even a sound guy. I have a friend who just has sound recording equipment, you know. I have a friend that has a camera. I have a friend that has lights. The camera guy I know wants to be a camera guy, so he has all of that. He has lights, he has sound, he has a drone, he has all of this stuff. So he's like a one package person who's trying to move to the next level, but he needs real footage. He'll do it for free. He'll do it for lunch. He'll do it for, $1. He'll do it whatever they're going to do it for. Because people just want to be working and people want to be moving to the next level. So be nice to people. Meet people. Find out what they're interested in. If they're talking about a certain thing that they would like to shoot and you have something that's similar to that, you can talk about that. They start talking about it, you're like, oh, I wrote something that's kind of like that. I think it would be awesome if you did that. Oh, really? I'd love to read it. Oh, you want to read it? Great. They read it. They love it. When do you want to shoot it? And then you have to step up. Someone says, when do you want to shoot it? And you go, oh, well, you go, when are you available? Oh, I'm available a week from Friday. Okay. I think I can make that work. I'll let you know tomorrow. And then the ball's rolling and there's some energy behind it. And when you start putting energy behind it, other things happen. So he's going to tell his friend that he's working on this thing, and he's going to go, oh, do they have a sound guy? Because I'm not doing anything that day and I love working with you. Yeah, come on, I'll bring you on. And then by the time you realize that you've got 5 or 6 people that are really good at what they do, that are here helping you on your little project, which is going to make it a bigger project, And people are going to want to take pictures of you by the camera like you're a director and all that kind of stuff. And then it starts to feed itself. It just gets out there and the energy spreads. Someone that works on something that they really like, they're going to tell their friends that they worked on it. They're going to want to see it, and they're not going to want to show them something that's bad. So they're going to work their best to make it look as great as possible. And you're going to sit back and be like, wow, this is awesome. And you need to sit back and take in all of this stuff that's happening, because people want to work with you and realize that, oh, wow, this is great. And then when you move up, you bring them with you. You don't forget them. You don't go, oh, thanks. Oh, thanks for work. You're great. Now I'm going to go be a big time star. You're like, come on. No one wants that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's like when you're contributing to somebody else's story and like in someone else's project, like you create this kind of bond with them that's really special. I think that's how a lot of my friends are. Like we get to work with each other and help each other out in different projects and stuff. What do you think's been the most challenging thing about working in the film industry?
I think the most challenging thing for me has been my own fear of failing. Sometimes I deflect so much that the person doesn't want to work with you. Like you're purposely saying, no, you don't want to do this with me because, it's never going to get done. And that's something that is very difficult to get past, because if that's the type of person you are, it's difficult. I feel like if that's the most challenging thing for me. I don't feel the work is challenging. I don't feel any department is too challenging. I think this industry is for people that like to solve problems, and when a problem arises, you know how to fix it or find the person that can fix it. Those are the challenging things. Like at work, they'll say, oh, we can see that on the camera and I don't like the way it looks. Is there any way you can fix that? And you're thinking, yes, I can. And you walk away and you're like, how am I going to fix that? and you rack your brain and you come up with a solution and you go in and you fix it, and then they love it, and then they're on to the next problem. So the most challenging thing is just being able to adapt and change while you're solving problems. And I love that. I love that about this industry. I love when someone can say to me, "Oh, I need this to happen," because my mind like works in that way. I love when there's a knot in something or a necklace. I'm that guy that has to get that knot undone because I know that knot got put together somehow. So I have to stay with it until it gets accomplished. And that's kind of the thing about this industry. You stay with it until it gets accomplished. And that's kind of the most challenging thing. I mean, it was challenging to get in. Had I not gotten in, I think the most challenging thing is getting in. That's the most challenging thing. Because once you're in, you're in. I had a buddy of mine, who's a sound guy, on Ellen DeGeneres' show. And he brought me in, and I was hanging out. And I was standing outside getting ready to go in, and Justin Timberlake was walking to go on set. And I was like, oh my God, it's Justin Timberlake. And I put my head down. I did not want to make eye contact because that's Justin Timberlake. But I thought, I'm on the lot. He's on the lot. I looked up at him as he got close, and I was like, hey. He was like, hey, how's it going? They don't know you're not supposed to be there. He doesn't know you're not Joe Blow producer. He doesn't know you aren't the new guy that wrote the new movie that he's going to be in. So the most challenging thing is realizing once you're in, you're in. It's like the line you stand in to get into a club when we could go to clubs. I didn't like clubs. I'm not a big club guy. And I don't like standing in line. See, that's my problem. I don't like standing in line because I know you're just making us stand in line to make it look important to get inside. Because I've stood in plenty of lines growing up and gotten inside and been like, there's 2 people in here. Like, what is that? So that is the challenge. Knowing that once you're in, you're in. You just need to figure out how to get in. And that's through a friend, that's through a relative, that's through doing good work, that's through putting yourself out there and getting noticed.
That's awesome. That's super cool. You talked about a lot of really creative problem solving. Do you have a creative outlet outside of the film industry, or is it all related?
My creative outlets outside of the film industry, well, I have a family, I have a wife, I have a daughter. I tend to make them my creative outlets. My daughter's a rock climber, so when we got locked down, she couldn't go to climb at the gym, so we built her a 10-foot climbing wall. I like to work, since I've been in the art department, I'm like, oh, I like working with my hands. So that kind of stuff I like doing. I look at life as my outlet because I'm constantly seeing things that I can do or things that I can write about when I see people or see situations out in the world. Like I don't like being locked up. I don't like not having interaction with people. So I think people are my outlet. I have a bunch of friends that are actors, but I don't like talking about acting with them. It's like, yeah, that's something we do, but that's not who we are. So my outlet is, hanging out with people, hanging out with my wife and daughter. My brother has a son. We hang out. All things that are not film related is kind of my outlet. I do like writing. I try to write as much as I possibly can. I'm constantly writing in my head. But yeah, that's a frustrating outlet. So I don't want that to be my yes outlet. It's just frustration. So anything that's not related, I love. And I feel like I've always looked at acting as a hobby. Like it's my hobby. I've been paid very well as a commercial actor, but I always took it as like a hobby. I never made it like, this is my job. I need to put in 1,000 hours a week in my job, because that wasn't who I am. And it's not who I am now. And I've never really felt like, I didn't want to become that person that's all they talk about. That's all they know. They're trying to climb the ladder. They're stepping on whoever they can step on. I was just like, that's not the world I want to be in. I don't want to be in that club. I'm a member. but I don't want to be a member of that club.
That's awesome. What would you say to somebody, another artist, and it doesn't have to be an actor or film related, but like, what would you say to another artist to encourage them to continue to create?
I would say continue creating, because you never know who's going to see your stuff. Like, you just have to put it out there. Create, create, create. Create, 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 because you never know who is going to be interested. I mean, it doesn't have to be Hollywood people. It doesn't have to be, celebrities or stars. You should be creating for yourself. When you have that fire to do something because you want it to be done, or you have to get it out of your body, or it's something you have to do, that's the kind of stuff that people are going to recognize. Like, you can't just fake it. You can't fake being an actor. You can't fake being a writer, because it takes too much of your soul. I mean, it's like you're committed to this thing. It's like a child. Like, you have to nurture that child. You have to nurture it, watch it grow, do all that great stuff. And then eventually they're going to grow up and you're going to be very happy for that child, and look at what you've done. If you're a painter, you have to paint. If you're a writer, you have to write. If you're a carpenter, you have to cut wood. You got to sand things, because that's what you have to do. And I know it comes to a time when you're just like so frustrated, where you have 100 scripts that no one's read, or you've made all these bowls that no one wants, but you still make bowls because you want to do it. That's your outlet. You just have to keep doing it.
You have a really good self-discipline when it comes to your writing, at least from our conversations. I'm not sitting behind you like, get to work. How do you find that? Is it in routine? Is it in practice? Like, how do you find your self-discipline to keep writing?
My writing self-discipline comes from not sitting at the computer. I'm constantly writing in my head. So when I finally sit down, it's been formulated so many times that when I start to write, it feels kind of like a final draft. I know it's a rough draft, but it feels like a final draft. I can't sit down and start writing just because. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, just quickly get out a rough draft and you're going to change it anyway. That's not how my mind works. Like, if I'm working on something and I get stuck, then it sits in the back burner until something in my life happens that triggers that and goes, oh yeah, that's how that can move forward. So then my mind processes it to the next level. So it's constantly building and building and building to a point where I'm like, oh, okay, that's it, that's done. And then I can sit down and then I can write it out. I used to write at like 2 a.m. because that's when it was the most quiet and I enjoyed that time. Since having a child, she's like 15 now, I haven't been able to write that late because life changes and you're up later doing other things. So now I just try to find time, either at a coffee shop writing, or if I'm home by myself, or if I feel like, oh, I can get a 20-minute writing in here, I'll sit down and I'll just do that and knock out as much of it as I can in that time period. But I'm not one of those, I wake up at 8 o'clock, I'm sitting down at my computer, I'm going to hammer out for an hour, because my motivation doesn't come on a schedule. Like, if something motivates me, that's when I'll work on it. And I have so many things that are going on in my head that it becomes like, okay, this thing I'm gonna write this time, this thing I'm gonna write. I can't do that. I'm just whichever of my children is laughing or screaming the loudest, that one is gonna get some attention, and then I'll move forward on that, and then put that one to bed, and then wait for the next one.
That's awesome. So it's organizing the chaos, but I've been on that too. Sometimes when you're in the groove of it, it works really well. So
Yeah.
and everybody has their own creative methods.
Yeah. I mean, the chaos. I mean, I think the chaos keeps you young, and the chaos keeps your mind working. Like, you don't want to get stagnant on something that you've been working on for so long. And a lot of people come to a point. A lot of people get to the point where this is the only thing they're working on. Has to be the one that goes. And I feel sorry for that person, because when that one's done, is that the only thing? Like, you can't just rely on that one thing. You have to be doing other things. Like the actor that's just the actor, I feel kind of sorry for that person because they're always waiting for someone to give them a job or allow them to work. And they're always like begging for someone to let them audition for their thing. It's like for me that's a place I don't like to live in. You know, I like to be in control of my creativity.
It's very cool. One of my favorite questions to wrap up is kind of an open-ended question. So is there anything that I forgot to ask you about or something that you want to talk about that is related to what we're talking about today?
I think what you didn't ask me was what would my Academy Award speech be?
Yeah, tell me that.
I don't think I have one written, but I had always thought that I would like to take the bus to the Academy Awards and not be limo driven and just walk in like a regular Joe and win or lose, just be a part of that without being a part of it. Like I don't know. It's that putting myself on a pedestal above other people. I don't. It's not my thing. Yeah, I don't know. I just I want to do the work, and if someone appreciates it, that's awesome. A bunch of people aren't going to appreciate it. That's awesome. I I don't know. I don't want to say that you should like it. I want you to get out of it what you're going to get out of it, and I put my best into it, and that's kind of where we are. I did a play. I wrote a play. We took it to New York. We were putting it up, and I did not want to watch opening night. Like, I didn't want to be in the theater. I didn't want to be in there for opening night because it wasn't mine anymore. Like, I've done what I can do, and now it's yours. Now it's the actors. They're going to go do it. I'm just happy to have gotten here. Like, I don't need all the, woo, great. I'm just like, awesome. Like, don't praise me. Leave me alone. I did what I do, and that's it. And it's fun, and I enjoyed doing it. I had a great time doing it. And, yeah.
Where do you think it is for you? Where do you release creative control? I guess is the question. Like ultimately, like where in the line, or is that kind of evolving for you and trying to figure that out?
I release my creative control when I feel like there's someone that can do it better than me. Like, I know I can't do everything. So if someone comes along that wants to be the DP, awesome. That's your job. Do your job. Be 100%. You want to be the sound, do your job. Do it 100%. I have no problem releasing that out there. It feels better when I don't have to rely on myself, when I have people around me that are better than me at these things that can take my vision and make it even better. Like, I don't want to have to tell, like, the question I hate the most is when an actor says to me, what's my motivation? I go, I don't know what your motivation is. Like, the words are on the page. I can't tell you how you're supposed to be feeling. That's kind of something you have to find. Like, I don't want to tell this actor what you're feeling and this actor what you're feeling and this actor what you're feeling. Because if I have to do that, I might as well do it myself. You know? I'm like, that's it. There's words. If my words aren't telling you how you should be feeling, then I haven't done my job right. If you can't tell where you are by reading the script and the things that you're saying, then I haven't done my job. So that's what it feels like when someone says, what's my motivation? Then I haven't done my job. And I'm like, well, I guess I have to go and fix it. It's just, it hurts me. It hurts me when I hear that. And I also feel that once you're cast, my job is over. I've cast you. You're exactly what the character is. Now these are just some words that you're going to put in your mouth, but you're the character. I shouldn't have to come to set and micromanage your performance. I should be able to sit back and watch it, and if it's not ringing true for me, to make an adjustment until it feels right, and then we can move on. because I don't want to give you line reads. I don't want to do that. I used to run sessions for commercials, and I had a job where I was doing. They were like, "You're going to come in and run session." I'm like, "Okay, who's it for?" Just don't worry, it's on the weekend. You're going to be running session. I'm like, "All right." So I'm running session, and Billy Crystal walks in. I'm like, "Oh, I'm running session for Billy Crystal. Awesome, for a feature." I don't want to say anything. I'm not going to talk. People would come in, and they would come in like one every 45 minutes. And I was like, wow, this seems like a lot of time in between each person. So we had become kind of friendly. We're not buddies, but we were in the room all day. And I was like, so why do you bring people in so far apart? He's like, well, I don't want any of the actors to know who were being brought in for that part. I want them to show up. They have the room to themselves. They come in, they audition, they leave. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Note. Cool. So we go out through the day, and he would give like line reads to some people. Every once in a while, he would give a line read. Happened a couple times. I was sitting there, nothing's going on. I'm like, so is it normal for a director to give a line read to an actor? And he goes, no, I don't really like giving line reads, but if they're not getting it, I like to kind of give them a feeling of how it should be, delivered. I was like, oh, okay. Noted. It was just a great experience. Once, he would remember me from Adam, but it was a great experience. And if he had been a horrible human being, I would have hated him. I would have told people that he's the most horrible person I've ever met. You know what I mean? But he was nice. So from me, only good things go out for him. Only love, And that's what I think people need to realize. You're a celebrity. Someone wants your autograph. Take 2 seconds to give them your autograph or say, oh, thank you. And that person is going to be your biggest fan forever. If they come up to you and they're like, oh, I like your work. Don't talk to me. I don't do autograph. That person is going to bad talk you. So it's all about just being present, realizing who you are, what you have to offer, and it's only going to be a few moments out of your life.
There's Adam Savage from Mythbusters.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it was from his YouTube channel, Tested, or if it was from his book, but he talked about meeting fans. And at first he got anxiety and really didn't like it. And he, over time, realized, like, if I made it about that other person, it would flip the script and make it a lot more enjoyable.
Yep.
And that kind of relates, at least what I heard from you, it relates to what he said with that.
Yeah. And people are like, he wanted to know about me. Like, yeah, he going around there, great. Oh, what's your name? Oh, do you love the show? Oh my God, I love the show. And then it's off of you. And it's on them. I was having this conversation with my daughter. She's a rock climber. She's 15. She's shy. So she doesn't want to talk to people in the gym. And I'm like, well, what do you say in the gym? She goes, I just say hi. And then, they're all friends. And I've said, well, so don't make it about you. Make it about them. Ask them how their day was. Ask them how school is. Ask them if they like homeschooling. Ask them if they, ask them any question. It'll take it off you. It'll put it on them. And then you guys will have a conversation. So it's like, acting, life, love, relationships, children, working in the industry, it's all the same. It's all the same. You have to treat people the same way that you want to be treated. And if you want to be treated like a jerk, you're going to attract people that will treat you that way. And that's just going to be your circle. And it's going to be a horrible circle. But most people just want to be treated fairly and have a good time and enjoy what they're doing. Because it's work. It is work. You're going to work. But if you can make it as fun as possible and not be the one slowing our day down, then you'll be okay.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for taking the time to spend a couple hours with me just talking and talking about the film industry. And for the audience out there, I hope you learned something interesting about the business and got some encouragement. And any last words, anything you want to throw in there at the end?
If anyone has any questions, like I'm better at answering questions than thinking on my feet. So like I think this is a great place for you to get information. You should be able to ask any question you have. There's no question that's dumb. There's no question that hasn't been asked. And if you are wondering about something, this is the place you need to ask, because you will get an honest answer, and there's no fluff. There's none of this like, oh, let me tell you what I think. It's just going to be your answer. You have an answer? No, I'm a confused person right now. You have a question. You're going to get the answer here. Don't be afraid to ask.
Awesome, man. Cool. Thanks again. Yeah,
Thank you.
I
It was
think
a
that's all we
pleasure. I
need.
totally appreciate you having me here. It's been fun.